No more I shall not give any more admission to my class. So now we shall check what will we change in per unit value if we change the base, because base is an arbitrary thing. We can assume the base values as per our desire. So base may be different from one to another person. And one more thing, generally, when we calculate per unit quantities for a particular equipment or device, then we take base quantities as its own. Okay. So obviously, in that case, current and voltage will be one per unit, but impedance will be calculated according to the kVA and kV rating of that particular equipment. Now, what will happen if the per unit value to the per unit value if the base is changing? Why the base will be changed? Because we are assuming a base, and based on that we are calculating the per unit quantities. Yes, we are calculating per unit values based on base values that we have already assumed. But base values are different for one from one equipment to another. Say if we want to calculate per unit values of different parameters of a generator, then we shall take base quantities as the rating of that generator. Similarly, for a transformer, we shall take the rated values of that transformer. But the rated values of transformer and the generator does not necessarily match. So in that case, when they will be connected in a power system, then in a power system there will be a common base. We shall assume a base values for the total power system. So in that case, this thing will be required. So in that case, we have to calculate the per unit values of the transformers or the generator parameters depending on the base values we have assumed when they are connected in a power system. So that's why this is required. So if we consider two systems, system 1 and system 1 and system 2 means two systems of different base values, okay? But we are calculating per unit value of same quantity. Say for 2 ampere currents, one time we are taking base current as 10 ampere, another time we are taking base current as 5 ampere. But the actual current is 2 ampere. Then obviously the per unit value will be changed. Now, if we know the only per unit value, say for 10 ampere base value, 2 ampere current, what will be the per unit value? 0.02, zero point 0.2 per unit. Then what will be the per unit value if we change the base from 10 ampere to 5 ampere? That is the thing we shall discuss here. So, say in system 1, that means base system is 1, IB1, VB1 are the base quantities. Similarly, ZB1 will be there, SB1 will be there for apparent power, everything will be there. And the I1 per unit, V1 per unit, Z1 per unit or Y1 per unit are the per unit value of the different parameters. From the symbol you can understand these are current, voltage, impedance and admittance respectively. Similarly, for the other base quantities, say IB2, VB2, the same actual quantities are providing the base per unit values as 1 to I2 per unit, B2 per unit, Z2 per unit, Y2 per unit. So for these two per unit values, if I give the example, current in both the case, actual value of current is say 2 ampere. So actual value of current will not be changed, but the for the base value, the per unit value of the current will be changed. Now say let us assume that variables now no, in terms not in terms of actual values but in terms of variables IA, VA for actual, IA, VA, ZA, YA are the actual quantities. Then obviously for the first per unit system, I1 per unit is obviously IA by IB1. Similarly, I2 per unit is IA by IB2. But this IA is unique. We are converting same quantity in terms of two type of bases. So IA will be same. So now You see, now if we know these two bases and any one of that per unit quantity, then this actual quantity is not required. Using these three, we can easily calculate the remaining one, right? So for the change in base quantities, we have no need to know the actual quantities. We can directly get the per unit values in the new base if we know the old base, old per unit value and the new base. Have you understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I was saying, ma'am, a boy is trying to join from long time, ma'am. Can you please admit him?
I have told that I shall not allow anybody after 1 5. Okay. I shall
Okay,
not
ma'am.
allow anybody after 1 5. So you should not do
Ma'am,
that one.
actually, we tried till 1 3, ma'am. That it was not joining, so then he, uh, again tried to rejoin. Then it became a bit late, ma'am, and it became 1 7, ma'am.
Okay.
Some,
But when it
so,
is when I am I start to teach then if we keep joining one by one, then it is very much troublesome and it is very much
yes, ma'am.
disturbing.
Yes, ma'am. I understand, ma'am.
Yeah, and if I allow 10 minutes, then it will be a long loss. I think it will be difficult to cope up with the syllabus for
Yes,
this
ma'am.
paper. Anyway,
Okay,
then
ma'am. Ma'am, I have to inform the students to join by 1 5 from next class.
yes, obviously you should. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
And if I do not take class, then I shall inform you via CR. Okay.
Okay,
So
ma'am.
if I
Okay,
do
ma'am.
not inform, then I shall take class. And say if it is
Okay.
1 5 is over, but you cannot join, then you can call me over phone. But something it may also happen that some meeting is there. I forgot to inform. That is rare, but it may happen because everything is now online mode. So it may happen. So in that case, you call me over phone to verify. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
But
Sure.
generally, I always inform students prior to the class.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Anyway, so from the per unit quantities, we no need to know the actual quantities. From one per unit, we can get the the new per unit value with the new base. If you know the old per unit value, old base and the new base. So similarly, we can now convert current to the MVA and the voltage. Why? Because generally current base are not readily known, but MVA and voltage are readily known for any uh, device. So it is better to convert the base quantities in terms of base MVA and base voltage that I have discussed in earlier class. Generally, we assume base voltage and base current. From there, we derive the base current, base voltage and base MVA we assume. So in terms of base voltage and base MVA, it is simply we can calculate the new per values. I hope you can understand that one, or with reasoning you can easily derive when it is required. So we have no need to know the actual quantities. We can, the base quantities are sufficient. Now, generally, we frequently required the impedance value and the voltage value in per unit calculation. Why? Because you know when why we are doing this per unit calculation. Actually, we want to represent a power system by a circuit. Now, when you draw a circuit, you rarely write admittance there. Generally, we write impedance and the voltage at different nodes or the different sources. So that's why in the same way, the voltage value in per unit and impedance value are in per units are mostly used in the power system application. Sometimes we derived admittance from the impedance, but we rarely know require the impedance and voltage values mostly. So similarly, for the impedance, obviously in the fast base system, it will be ZA into SB by VB1 square, because actually ZA by ZB is I am writing this one repeatedly so that you can visualize it and memorize it. IB, then IB is SB by VB, right? That's why it is VB square by SB. And VB square by SB, the unit will be same. because if SB is in MVA and VB square, VB is in kV, that means it is kV square. So 10 to the power 6, 10 to the power 6 in the numerator and denominator, so they will be cancelled out. So in that way, generally we use SB1 by VB square directly. But SB1 by VB square is not ZB, but ZB is VB1 square by SB. I hope you can understand. So similarly, if we just eliminate ZA from here, then obviously Z2 per unit is equal to Z1 per unit into SB2 by SB1, VB1 by VB2 whole square. You have no need to memorize it. When you practice different problem, if automatically you can use it, it will be memorized. But if you try to memorize it, then it will be very difficult and very much boring. Next is, from the next class you should join by 1-5, okay? Otherwise I shall not give any entry. Next is, say another issue is there. Say when we connect a transformer in a system, transformer is indispensable in power system, and when there is a transformer in power system or anywhere, there is a primary side, secondary side issue, because primary side, secondary side parameters are entirely different. Okay, so you must join within 5 minutes of the scheduled class, otherwise I shall not allow. So if we make a circuit where there is a transformer, then we have to use, we cannot get rid of that ideal transformer, right? So it will be either in primary side or in secondary side, it will be there. So it is like this. In primary side, this may be one representation. These R1, X1, R2, X2. Obviously, it is X2 dash referred to primary. This is the ideal transformer. I cannot write here. And similarly, we can refer the ideal transformer in the primary side also. We can refer entire thing to the secondary. In that case, this will be R1 dash, X1 dash. You know how to calculate R1 dash, X1 dash, or R2 dash, X2 dash. But we cannot get rid of this ideal transformer, because for that voltage step up or step down is there. Okay. So whenever we shift from the secondary side to primary or primary side to secondary, there will be change in voltage and change in current depending on based on MMF balance, I1 N1 equal to I2 N2, and based on that voltage per turn is same, V1 I1, V1 by N1 equal to V2 by N2. So that relationship should be maintained. So that is one difficulty. So in a circuit, when you are connecting a generator, say generator with a reactance, say if you neglect a resistance, then a transmission line. So if there be a transformer, you cannot neglect this ideal transformer. That is a difficulty, is not it? Because you are not getting a total a circuit where the voltage levels are same. So you cannot connect these two nodes. Is not it? These two nodes you cannot short. You cannot make a continuous circuit. There is a, because there the voltage levels are not same. If two nodes voltage are same, say 11 kV and 11 kV, then only you can short it in an equivalent circuit. Otherwise not. Have you understood what you wanted to say? Wanted to convey?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is one difficulty we shall face when we want to draw an equivalent circuit of a power system, like single line diagram of a power system. When you have drawn the single line diagram of a power system, then you have drawn. I think you have not need to draw any transformer in the midway, but now that will be there. So say this is the transformer equivalent circuit referred to primary. I have not drawn ideal transformer here. Obviously, ideal transformer will be in the right hand side. Similarly, same thing will be for when it will be referred to secondary. And this the value of here what is the total resistance R1 plus R2 dash and X1 plus X2 dash. Value of total impedance referred to primary and value of total impedance referred to secondary. You know they are hell and heaven difference because they are multiple of 10 or 100 depending on the trans ratio of the transformer. Generally, we do not bother about this shunt branch in power system application. Why? Because we use transformer in power system for step up or step down purpose when we are supplying a load. So at that time, we shall try to utilize the transformer as maximum as possible. So we try to cater as maximum load as possible. Obviously, because generating station should supply generation to load. So the transformer is always near to full load or under loaded condition. So in distribution system, it may not be full load, maybe at half load, 1/4 load, but it is always at the loaded condition. It is rarely happen that transformer is at no load. So for that reason, you know that when transformer is loaded, then no load current is negligible 2 to 4% as compared to its rated current, or as compared to its full load current also it will be negligible. So for that reason, we generally do not consider the shunt branch because when we analyze, we take the consider the presence of transformer in a power system. In that case, current in the system is huge, more than the rated, abnormal condition, short circuit. So in that case, obviously shunt branch current is negligible as compared to the series branch. That's why we are not we are concentrating on series impedance, not at the shunt admittance. But the method is same as we are applying per unit quantities, concept of per unit values for series impedance. If necessary, we can use it for the shunt admittance part also. But here I shall not discuss. So, say Z1E and Z2E are the equivalent series impedance of the transformer referred to primary side and referred to secondary side respectively. So, it is referred to primary side, so it is the case of Z1E. So, when everything will be referred to secondary side, then it will be Z2E, E for equivalent. So Z1E simply R1 plus JX1 plus R2 plus JX2 into N1 by N2 is the whole square. N1, N2 is the turns ratio or number of turns in primary and secondary respectively. Similarly, Z2E is R1 plus JX1 into N2 by N1 whole square obviously plus R2 plus JX2. Now you see, obviously, if I multiply Z1E by N2 by N1 whole square, then we can get Z2E. So this is the relation. So here there is no per unit quantities. All are the actual values. We have not entered in the per unit concepts. So all are the actual quantities. So Z1E and Z2E are entirely different. There is no chance to match them. Now assume that base quantities are IB1, VB1 and ZB1 in primary side. Generally, rated quantities are assumed as base quantities. So 11 by 33 kV 50 MVA transformer means primary side base quantities are base voltage is 11 kV, the base MVA is 50 MVA, secondary side base voltage is 33 kV obviously line to line, and the base MVA is 50 MVA in that way. So per unit value of the series impedance referred to primary, if we want to calculate, then obviously we shall divide it by the base impedance of the primary side. So ZB1, that is VB1 by IB1 or IB1 by VB1 anyway. Now similar way, if we want to calculate Z2 per unit, then Z2 per unit will be Z2E into IB2 by VB2. Now you see, there is relationship between currents and voltage in case of transformer. This will be advantageous for us for the per unit representation. This is the properties of transformer that we are not imposing. MMF should be balanced, so N1 I1 equal to N2 I2, and V1 by V2 equal to V1 by N1 equal to V2 by N2. So in that way, these are the basic relationship of voltage and current in transformer. So if we just apply that one, Z2 per unit, Z2E, now we replace IB1, IB2 by IB1 using this equation, and VB2 by this equation. Just replace VB2 and IB2 by IB1 and VB1 using this equation. We can do it. So we can get this one. I am not reading this thing. You can do it. So simply you will see that all this N2, N1 will be cancelled out. It will be simply Z1 into IB1 by VB1 equal to Z1 in per unit. Now you see, when it was in actual quantities, then they were entirely different. There was no scope to make them same, right? But when we represent them in per unit, then they become same, right? Right? So this is one advantage. Say, so there is a transformer equivalent impedance, whether you refer it to secondary side or in primary side, the values are coming same. So we have no need to bother about in which side does it belong to. At the same time, base quantities are the rated quantities. So if it is the base quantities, here it is VB1 voltage, here it is the voltage is VB2 in volt, right? Here it is VB1, here it is VB2, right? So if it is in base quantities at the voltage, then what is the value in per unit? Obviously 1 per unit. Here it is 1, here it is 1, here it is 1. So it is same voltage in per unit. So we just represent the equivalent. I have drawn, sorry. Yes. So just if we draw the circuit impedance, then this, if it is referred to primary, then we can now short this one. We can get rid of that ideal transformer because all are in 1 per unit. Have you understood my point?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Similarly for the secondary side. Okay. So there is no need to bother about primary side or secondary side. So say for this example, this is the A, this is the B. So B is the secondary point in secondary side, A is the point in the primary side. So when you are calculating voltage at A point, the voltage in actual is 1 into VB1 and voltage at B point in actual is 1 into VB2. So in actual voltage is different. But when you are calculating in per unit, both are 1. So you can easily calculate. But if you can identify point in the reactance diagram, you can easily get the actual values, but you can get a simplified circuit in per unit values so that we can get the voltage and current values very easily. Understood this much? Any question?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now the same thing I am repeating because generally we do not consider the VB SB as the VB or SB in that way. Sometimes we write directly in MVA. Base MVA means MVA underscore B, suffix B, like this. So MVA means actually VB IB 10 to the power minus 6. Similarly, base KV generally in KV. So VB into 10 to the power minus 3. Because if it is in VA, then you have to divide it by 10 to the power 6 in that way. Now impedance, base impedance, you see base impedance was in line quantities and phase quantities, it was same. So it is simply V square by S. It may be in line quantity, may be in phase quantity. So just VV square by S we can put. So here it will be KV square by base MVA. So If we want to calculate the actual any permanent quantities, then it will be the ohmic value of the impedance by the base quantity. Then whatever be the base value, you just replace. Now, if we want to get that impedance value within a new base, say the new base is 2, MVA2 and KB2, then we have to use this equation, right? This equation we have to use. So simply, this equation is written in terms of MVA. So MVA2 by MVA B1 by KB1 by KB2. Okay. So this is the thing. The same thing. This slide is same, but only the notations were different. But sometimes we represent directly in this way. That's why I have kept this slide. Now say, so what was the purpose of permanent calculation? We want to draw an equivalent circuit or impedance diagram or reactance diagram of from the single line diagram of a power system. Obviously, per phase reactance diagram or impedance diagram will be is the per phase basis, okay, from and valid for the balance system, right? So from the single line diagram of a power system. So at first, what is the step? We must consider a suitable base MVA for the system. Generally, maximum MVA rating available in the system may be assumed as base MVA. Otherwise, common 100 MVA is a common choice. If you do any project in power system, you will see that generally it is taken 100 MVA as a base. Why? Because the division and multiplication will be easier for that reason. If you take 50, 60, then division and multiplication will be complicated. Only that reason. Then we have to identify the base kV also. Now, the voltage rating of different part of a power system is not same. They are different. So in that case, it is sectionalized. That is, we have to identify base kV of each section of a power system, and maximum kV rating of that particular system is assumed to be a base kV for that section. So actually, if I go to this slide, so here you see, here this is the system. So it may happen, sometimes it is not ideal thing that you will get the motor in 30 kV. It may happen that you are getting motor rating is as the 32.9. By design, it has not reached 33 kV. It may happen. And say this generator is 10.5, not the 10. Then you see after transformer primary, it is 11. So for that range, we shall take 11 kV as base. For this range, for the transmission line, it will be 132 kV as a base. So where it is assumed that the voltage level will be that ideal voltage level is this one, is a particular value. So that will be the base value. It does not mean that throughout the transmission line, voltage level will be 132 kV. Ideal voltage should be 132 kV if there be no voltage drop. But that it should be at the receiving end, obviously voltage will be less than 132 kV. But the maximum voltage available in that range will be taken as the base value. And for this range, it will be 33 kV. So in this way, we assume base voltage of different for different section of a power system. So how to identify the section? I hope you have understood. If you do not understand, you must ask me. So next is calculate per unit value of impedance or reactance or voltages if it is required for each component. Each component means the generator, transformer, transmission lines, motor, capacitor, inductor. Inductor means for the shunt compensation part, or capacitor for shunt compensation part, if that is there. Then you convert everything in the per unit value. Then draw the reactance diagram in based on that per unit value. Now let us take an example. This is the same example I have shown in the at the beginning of the class. but there the values were not given. Now the values are given. So generator is 11 kV, it is written in single line diagram. It is 50 MVA, X is J.2 per unit. X is J.2 per unit means generator reactance is 0.2 per unit on the with its own base. That means 50 MVA as the MVA base and 11 kV as the voltage base. Similarly, transformer 1 is 50 MVA, X is 0.1 per unit. All the values are similar way calculated based on its own base, right? Now you see there are three types of one, two, three, four. Four values of MVA available. Then what MVA base MVA we shall take? We may take 100 MVA, no one of this. We may take 50 MVA, we may take 60 MVA. Theoretically, maximum available MVA in the system. In that way, it should be 60 or 100 MVA. Then it would be 100. But if we want to reduce the computation, then we see that for the generator and transformer for two components is 50. So if we take 50 MVA, then we have to calculate. We have no need to calculate for generator and transformer T1. So in that way, we can take 50 MVA also. Have you understood how which you will assume the base MVA? Have you understood?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is
Ma'am,
very
so here best MVA is 50 MVA, best approach.
nothing based, because you can, if you take 50, you have to calculate, you have to make two calculations less. If anybody can take 100, then he has to calculate two more. Okay, nothing more than that. Okay, so it is entirely your decision. Okay, because nothing based, because based, when you can convert it to actual value, it will be actual. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
So it will be your decision. So how much time in your hand, how much complicated is the calculation, based on that you decide. Or you may assume that every time I shall calculate by 100. It will be easier for you. So when you practice the problems, then you will understand that. Okay. Because if you calculate with 100, then every time you will calculate with that. Here I have taken base MVA as 100. But that does not mean 100 MVA is base. Always we try to calculate less. That's why I have taken, you will also try to calculate less. So that's why I have taken base MVA as 50. But if you take 60, it is good. If you take 100, it is also good. So 50 MVA, then we have no need to calculate for the generator. Why not? Because generator rating voltage is 11 kV, and for this section base voltage is 11 kV. But if it would be like that, the generator voltage is 10.1, but for the power system, for this section voltage level is 11, then we have to convert it for the new base voltage. Have you understood my point? Say for if it is instead of 11 kV, it is 10 kV generator rating. Then this 0.2 per unit is calculated based on 10 kV. But now the rated voltage, now the base voltage for the section is 11 kV. Then you have to change the base for the voltage only, not for MVA. That is also available. So which calculation you will use? This one, not here. Let me check. This impedance value here, only for base also you can calculate. In that case, this SB1, this 2 will be this SB2 equal to SB1.
0.2 into 11 by 10.
Yes. 0.2 into 11 by 10 whole square.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So in that way. So for this section, always since you are learning, so always you identify for the generator transformer section, base kV is 11. Then for every component you check base kV is 11. What is the rated voltage of that particular machine? You must check that one. Since it is 1, so there is no same, so there is no change in xg, but you have to calculate generator terminal voltage, that will be 1 per unit. If it would be 10.5, then it will be generator terminal voltage will be 10.5 by 11. Okay, in that way. For transformer, base kV is this one, new base is same as the equipment rating, so XT1 will be same. For transmission line, the impedance is given. Okay, for transmission line, voltage is 132 kV and the base MVA is 50. So you can calculate the base voltage, base impedance. So directly I have calculated, this is the line impedance into 50 by 132 square. So directly we have calculated the line impedance in per unit. ZB equal to VB square by SB. So Z per unit is Z ohm by ZB in that way. For transformer and motor section, you see transformer T2 and motor section, the base kV is 33. So here it will be 33. And base MVA is all throughout same, 50. But for transformer, the equipment rating is 60, not 50. So you have to convert only for the MVA, not for the kV. Why? Because transformer voltage rating is 33. So here change is only for the MVA, not for the kV. For motor, the base voltage is same, but the MVA rating is 50, but equipment rating is 30. So we have to convert it for the MVA. Similarly, for motor 2 also, for motor 1 and motor 2, the MVAs are not same. You must follow this one very properly when you do this one for examination or for any competitive exam. So in GATE examination, this type of thing required for very small marks is there, but question is very much complicated. I have come through some questions. So if you learn this one properly, then you can do that one. So this is the thing. So now and motor internal voltage, and I must mention, when we do this type of single line diagram, we always assume all the motors are synchronous motors, not the induction motors. So synchronous motors means again voltage behind transient reactance or synchronous reactance. So there will be a motor induced EMF, right? Why synchronous motors? Generally, if it is induction motors does not contribute anything when there is a fault, because induction motor is a passive device. If there be a short circuit at the terminal of induction motor, then from induction motor no current will flow towards that, because in induction motor there is no induced EMF, right? But synchronous motor will contribute. Okay, so generally in this type of system you will see only the induction motor, and in that synchronous motor. Induction motor, if induction motor is there, then that will behave as a transformer, as a passive device. So motor internal voltage is 1 per unit. Now you see, this is the circuit. This is what was your single line diagram, right? So for generator, it is the 1 per unit. So generator is voltage behind the reactance. So this is the reactance. Then there is a transformer, this transformer T1. Then you see, this is the secondary, this is the primary. You have no need to bother about that. Okay. So which side is primary transformer primary, which side is secondary? Obviously line side is the secondary. Understood? So this point voltage will be the 132 kV, this side voltage will be 11 kV. In that way you have to identify. Then this is the transmission line. Then similarly this transformer reactance. So here this side is 132 kV, this side is 33 kV, right? Similarly for motor, this is the motor impedance and this is the 1 per unit motor. So two motors are in parallel, so this will be the circuit. So I hope you can draw this type of impedance diagram. Actually, impedance diagram may be required in healthy condition to find out the current in generator, motors, or in different components. But it is mostly required for fault calculation. When there is a fault, how much unhealthy current will flow through the different components. So for that, how much protection is required, which type of protection we shall give. For that reason, actually, per unit quantities are required. Permanent representation is required for steady state analysis also, but for steady state analysis, we do not draw the equivalent circuit. For steady state analysis, we consider the behavior of the machines from the power equations at the different nodes of a power system. That part you will learn in the load flow study. There is one steady state analysis in your syllabus. In that case, we shall not provide any present representation of transformer in this way. In that case, we shall assume the transformer as a step-up device, and we shall represent transformer by a pi equivalent model as we represent for a transmission line. Pi equivalent model is not in the power system performance syllabus. That is in the I think elective 1 syllabus or elective 2. But here, but the modeling is there for the steady state analysis. But it is for the fault analysis actually, the representation and the per unit representation. But the per unit conversion is valid for the steady state analysis and the transient analysis also. As for the here transmission line, we have represented only by series impedance. Why? 132 kV transmission line means medium transmission line, maybe long also. Why not shunt part? Because here we assume that the system is unhealthy and steady, then the series current is far higher than the shunt current. That's why we have neglected actually the shunt branch. These things are not written in the book. When you go through the different chapters, then this concept will be developed in your mind slowly. So this is the part of the parent system. So parent system actually the basics of power system, of learning of power system in a say interconnected mode. So this is the parent system. So let us now find its application in the fault analysis. Before that, we should know that what is fault actually. So fault actually is any abnormal condition. Abnormal condition means abnormal voltage, abnormal current. Maybe voltage high, current low, or maybe current high, voltage low. Generally, in power system analysis, we mostly concern about the short circuit analysis. When current is high, voltage is low. But reverse is also there. So voltage is high, current is low. That example is the Ferranti effect. But Ferranti effect is rare because every time attention is given that load should be connected. Because if load is not there, then the economy of the system will be disturbed. But when load is there, then there is lesser chance of high voltage. But high voltage still may arise because due to some accident, if a conductor gets open, that is called open conductor fault. So if there be voltage rise, then there will be a threat in insulation. Insulation will fail because high voltage will be there, and insulation rating is depends on voltage. And you know, if you give a higher voltage, then the withstand capacity of an insulator. I hope you have learned the cables. Then the insulation will go. Insulation will be that insulator become actually conductor. So that is the open conductor fault or high voltage fault that I shall not discuss here, or that may be due to lightning also. That will be discussed, I think, in high voltage engineering. So here I shall mostly concentrate on the short circuit fault. Why? Because when load is connected, still short circuit fault we cannot get rid of. Anytime two conductors may be shorted, maybe instantly and may go out instantly, or maybe permanently. Say when a bird sit on a transmission line and accidentally its wing touch another line, then there will be a temporary short circuit. But with that high current and high voltage, the bird will die and it will burst. So at that time, that temporary short circuit will go. That is called transient fault. So it will happen in the system, and after some time it will go. It will automatically erase out. But if a conductor fall on a live conductor, then what will happen? It will be a permanent fault because conductor will not go out directly. So that will be a permanent fault or steady fault. In that case, it is required to identify that fault point, and it is required to clear that fault. It may happen that insulation has melt within a cable and two conductor gets short circuited. So that is also a short circuit, and that fault will not go instantly. And if you allow the time to continue that fault, then melt of that insulation, melting of that insulator will continue, and the fault will be going on severe. So that is that's why the fault calculation is very much important. We have to identify if there be any abnormality in current in the system, because short circuit means high current will flow. Normally in power system, you have seen long transmission line near to 500, 400 ampere current is very normal. But generally, say in per unit, 2 to 3 per unit current is flowing. So 1 per unit is 400 means 3 per unit is 1200. So 1200 ampere current is flowing. So we have to disconnect that faulty portion at first from the healthy portion. That is the thing. Then we shall identify the fault point, we shall repair the faulty part and disconnect it again to the healthy part. So fault calculation does not mean you have to identify the faulty part of the power system. It is a fault calculation is at first is required to identify the faulty section of the power system and disconnect it from the healthy system, so that healthy system can continue, and faulty system then it will be required to identify the fault, and then we have to repair it, and actually it is called clear it, and then we shall connect it. So how to identify the fault? That is, actually this current will be fed to the relay every time. Relay will monitor the current. Say healthy current is 400 ampere. So relay, when 400 ampere, relay will will identify it as a healthy system. But when the current is 400, say 500 ampere, then it will be alert. Okay, it will try to move. It will try to give the indication to the circuit breaker. Circuit breaker is like a switch which will disconnect the faulty portion. But depending on relay setting is also there. There is one complete paper in your fourth year. Circuit, the relay setting, depending on relay setting, at which ampere the system, the unhealthy portion will be disconnected, that depends on the relay setting. That is the different issue. So in the fault calculation part, we shall actually calculate or estimate what may be the possible fault current for a particular fault at a particular position. But that will be only the estimation, because short circuit is an accident where it will occur and how it will be occur, we cannot define anything anyway. So it is totally an estimation. Now fault, that means short circuit, that means connection of two live conductors. So it may happen in two different ways. So here actually say three phases get short circuited, right? So this is called balanced three-phase fault. Similarly, three phases individually can be grounded. This is called balanced three-phase ground fault. Or it may happen in this way also. These three are shorted and then third conductor is grounded. Then it will be again balanced three-phase fault. Right? And now say if one phase gets grounded, then it is called single line to ground fault. Now it may be directly grounded, or there may be some obstacles that we may represent by an impedance, that is called ZFER fault impedance. So in that way, that may be shorted. So this is the single line to ground fault. If you must interrupt me if you cannot follow. Similarly, when two phases, say here two phases, this is B phase and this is the C phase. These two phases are get shorted through an impedance. Why impedance? This impedance ideally may be zero, but short circuit means some insulation has melt, some air may have broken down for that. So how that will be that thing will be happen, that we do not know. So if there is breakdown in air or insulation is melt, then it may happen that is not meant 100%. So that is represented by an impedance. So this is called, so two lines are shorted. So this is called line to line fault. Now it may happen two lines are shorted and they are again connected to ground. Then it is called double line to ground fault, the third case. Sorry, fourth case. So different type of combinations may be there. But here we shall assume at this in this syllabus in power system performance only balanced three-phase fault. That means we can assume the system as balanced. We can analyze per phase basis for the balanced three-phase fault. The unbalanced fault or asymmetrical fault, unbalanced fault means the current in three different phases are different. So system is unbalanced. So we cannot analyze the circuit using the per phase analysis. In that case, we have to take the help of symmetrical components. So that thing we shall learn in our fourth year classes. Here we shall only learn about the balanced three-phase fault. Obviously, in the system, balanced three-phase fault is rare as compared to single phase fault. Actually, single phase fault is very common in the power transmission system. Now, say there is a fault in the transmission line. Let me see. So, transmission line we may represent by a resistance and inductance. Why not shunt capacitor? Because when there is a fault, then shunt capacitor value is very low, because shunt capacitance, why do we consider? Shunt capacitance, obviously it is the property of transmission line, but the contribution of shunt capacitors is the charging current. Charging current is JV omega C. Now, when there is a short circuit, V has gone to the very low value. Ideally, it is 0. So, the contribution of shunt capacitor is 0. That's why it is not considered here. Okay, this type of question may ask in the examination. So, if V is the RMS quantity, then the voltage is root 2 V omega t plus alpha. I have assumed an initial phase of the voltage, right? So when this is not the usual path of the current. Current was actually flowing through this path, is not it? But due to short circuit, current is now flowing in this path. So this thing will happen suddenly. So it is like a switch. So we shall analyze this one by using the transient analysis. So due to this sudden change in current, there will be
Ma'am, can I
Yes.
ask you? Ma'am, the shunt admittance is neglected. Ma'am, can you once just repeat
Shunt
the answer?
admittance means the transmission line shunt admittance. This is the property of property of the transmission line that will be there. So if we assume a shunt capacitor here, shunt capacitor is obviously connected here. It is not disconnected because it is the property of the transmission line. But what was the contribution of this capacitor? This is the charging current.
Yes, ma'am.
Charging current is J omega CV. Now this V is, when there is a short circuit, V is going down. Ideally, it is near to 0, right? So this current I is now 0. So
Yes,
0
ma'am.
means as if it is open circuited, is not it? 0
Yes, ma'am.
current
Yes.
means open circuited. 0 voltage means short circuited, right?
Yes. Yes,
So
ma'am.
that's why shunt parameter part is not considered, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So there is a sudden change. That's why this is this fault current. So what is the fault current? Fault current is the current in the faulted path. This is the fault current. I have written capital F, capital IF. That means it is an RMS value. If we write small IF, then it is an instantaneous value. So instantaneous value will have some steady state value, some transient value, right? Because if we allow it to, ideally if we allow this fault current to flow, then after some time this switching condition will be over. The system will be in steady state for any circuit. So there will be some steady state value, some transient value. So fault current will have two components. One is steady state component, another is transient component. Okay, that's all for today. In next class I shall start from the how this transient component affect the system and how we can analyze the fault for different transient conditions. You must go through the class note before coming to the next class, otherwise it will be difficult for you to cope up. Generally, I do not take this class actually in PPT mode when we take it in offline. But now that there is nothing in our hands, so I have to take it in PPT. So if you take I shall give you the PPT, so there is no issue. But you should not take it granted as PPT, because you have to earn using this degree. So you must learn it, okay, on at least the basic. So you must go through this properly, and you must come to the next class after at least take a glance of this class note, okay.